Hello and welcome to this APEDSK99 demo. So APEDSK99 is a shield for the Arduino Uno, and it does a couple of useful things. So first of all, it emulates three double-sided single-density disk drives, and instead of using the slow and clunky devices, it stores the images on an SD card. And not only that, you can also store them on an FTP server. And that FTP server can be in your network, but it can also be somewhere on the internet. Now, the DSR for the Shield is based on the original TI disk controller DSR, so there's a high level of compatibility there, and it's just a lot faster, really. The second thing it can do is provide you with a 32K of RAM expansion. So if you want to use things like editor, assembler, or any other module that requires the extra memory, it's an easy way to add it to your console. And the third thing it does is it provides you with date and time information through the network time protocol. And you can save that information into a variable and use it in your program. The Shield is easy to build. It's based on good old through-hole technology. There's no fiddly SMD parts, yeah, it's very easy if you have some basic soldering skills. There's a link in the description under this video that shows you all the information on my GitHub page. So have a look if you're interested. This is what it looks like when you attach the APEDSK99 to your console. It has an I/O port connector that fits into the right side of your console. It needs a power supply, and it can be a USB port on your machine or a hub, or a dedicated charger for that matter. If you want to use NTP and FTP, obviously you need Ethernet connectivity into your local network. I didn't bother really to put it into a case, but that's easy enough to do. Yeah, I like the look of this naked sort of version. Okay, let me show you how it works in practice. I'll turn on my trusty TI. And I also will be using the excellent Classic 99 emulator. There you go. You can see you've got a very simple depiction of a network. I've got a central machine, a Windows machine in this case. It has a folder with all my floppy images, and it also shares that folder through FTP, so the TI can load and save them there. FTP is very simple to set up. Obviously, it depends a little bit on your network, but almost every platform has an FTP server capability. The nice thing about using your central machine as well is that usually you've got all the nice peripherals attached to it, like a printer or any other things. So the information from the TI is easily transferred to this central machine, and you can go from there, as I'll show you in this demonstration. But anyway, let's start with the TI. Now, APEDSK99 adds about 13 calls to TI Basic, but you don't have to remember them all. You just need to remember one. It has an inbuilt help screen. It shows you all the available calls and the syntax. So when APEDSK boots, it looks for specific file names on the SD card. And if it finds those, it will map them to disk 1, 2, and or 3. So let's have a look what my mappings are. So I have disk drive 1 and 2 mapped to a particular floppy image, and disk 3 is unmapped. And apart from showing which image is mapped, you can also see if they're protected or unprotected. Now, if you worked with floppies in the past, you always got those cute little stickers that you could put over the nuts on the side of a floppy drive to protect it from being written on. This is exactly what it is. If you set the P status for a particular floppy, you cannot write to that floppy. It also shows you how many sectors there are free, and it's time stamped. So if you format a floppy or you change a file or something, it uses NTP to timestamp the floppy or the file. Now disk drive 3 looks a little bit sad, so let's map a image to disk drive 3. To check what images I've got available, there's another command that shows me the floppy images on the SD card, and I can scroll through the list with spacebar. I don't have to scroll to the end. If I had enough or I found the floppy image, I just press enter and I get back to the prompt. Now what I want to do is map a single-sided floppy to disk 3. Righto. And if I check now, I can see there's a single-sided floppy map to disk 3, and it is completely empty. 358 sectors available. Let's format that floppy so to make sure it's really empty. It's not going to work. Here you go. We're going to initialize the disk. It's in disk 3. And it's the 22nd today. We don't need to verify. And away we go. Floppy's done. And let's save this floppy on our FTP server, because that will come in handy later. Quickly write some fantastic code. Oh. Check, that'll work. And we save it to a floppy. Now what I've done on the Classic 99 side is I mapped that same floppy image, floppy SS, to disk 3 in the emulator. Oh. As you can see, it's empty because we just saved that empty floppy to our FTP server. If I now save that floppy on our FTP server, there you go. Save it back. Just having a quick check. Yeah, all good. Load the floppy image back from our FTP server. That's not going to work. And there you go. So FTP is a very easy way of sharing information between the TI and your main system. Could be anything, I guess, where that runs an emulator or whatever you want to do on your central machine. It's very quick, and so initially I had the thought of adding a lot of peripherals to this Arduino Uno idea and building additional shields. But now I think I can share so easily information with my main system. Why would I? I've got a nice printer and stuff attached, and all other things to my central machine. It's much easier to write code on in an emulator with cut and paste and such, and then transfer it to the TI when you're ready. Okay, hopefully that makes it a bit clear how you can use FTP to exchange information. There's a couple of other calls that are quite interesting. I've always been a little bit jealous of the Commodore 64, where you could ask for this directory from the prompt. It was a bit slow and cumbersome, but it still was very handy. So I built that command into APEDSK as well. Or it's on disk 1. It remembers the last disk you have accessed, so I could also do, and you get the same result. If we go back to our floppy 3 that is, and I use the command protect disk, I still have my program, yep, and I want to save. I get the protected error. If I then unprotect the disk, so it's a very easy way of protecting your work. So what I have in disk 1, I've got all the utilities to use editor assembler, for instance. That disk is protected, and disk 2, which is my work, my work disk, that's obviously unprotected. So it's very easy to do that from the basic prompt. Another useful command is if you want to remove a particular floppy image from your SD card. Actually, before I do that, you can see that I still have that floppy, that single-sided floppy mapped to disk 3 with a lovely hello program. So if I now do call rdisk, it's not mapped anymore. And if I now try to map it, it can't find a disk. So let's get it from our FTP server again. There it is. There you go. Now, if I now protect the disk, and I try to remove it, I get an error. And this also works with FTP. So if you try to override an FTP, a floppy image through FTP, you get the same error. There you go. All right. I think I've shown all the useful commands that works with disks. Let's get on to the time command. So if I define a string variable with a length of 16 characters, and it doesn't matter what characters they are, but it needs to be a length of 16. And I do call time, I now have the date and time in a variable. I can use this in my program. Um, NTP is also used for timestamping floppies and file changes and stuff. So yeah, instead of building a real-time clock or using a real-time clock in an Arduino shield, why not use the NTP service that's available everywhere? So I thought it was a nice little addition too. There's two other calls that I would like to quickly go through with you. One of them is this particular command. It's resetting the APEDSK. So think about it as you either press the reset button on the Arduino or you power cycle the whole thing, but this is just a software call. And what it does, it resets APEDSK like you just booted, and it also means that your mappings will be back to the default, which is any way of achieving that. And there's the last call command that I want to go through is this one. In this case, it actually achieves the same effect as a reset, because what it does, it loads the default DSR back into RAM and resets the APEDSK99. But you can imagine that you can have a number of different DSRs that you can, write yourself and use them for different purposes. I'm not sure if you have followed the discussion on Atari Age, where I tried to get FG, the Final Girl 99 cartridge, working on the TI-QI. And I've used APEDSK for troubleshooting and writing, specific debug code that I could call from BASIC. And without it, I would have spent a much longer time getting that thing up and running. So in that sense, it's also it not only provides you with disk drives and time and FTP, but it also provides you with an ability to write your own DSRs, right? Yeah, I think that's quite exciting. At least I'll leave it to your imagination, I guess. Anyway, that's about it. If you got any questions after this demo or after reading the GitHub page, just hit me up on the GitHub page, send me a message, or ping me on Atari Age. My call there is JJB, and yeah, more than happy to help. Hey, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and take care. Cheers.